Hello everyone. Welcome to the second part of the behind the scenes for Season 7. In this episode, we'll be taking a look at the making of the cylinder trap. I thought about opening the season continuing the ending of Season 6 with the Angel Fall trap set, but because it's been years since that, I didn't know if some people were going to have trouble remembering how Season 6 ended, so I decided to leave this scene for the opening of Episode 2. This is the second time I've done the air fan trap set. The main thing I rebuilt was the walls and the floor. The rest of the items are the same ones I used for the original set and the ones I redid for the second use at the end of Season 6. I love coming back to this set because this is the one that started it all for me. This is the first one I did for my original traps, and it feels great to revisit such an important moment in my life. I do have plans to hopefully someday redo the air fan trap trilogy with how I do things now, just to give it a fresh look and better stop motion than what I did all those years ago. There was a slight plan to have Danny Luna this season, but I felt like it wasn't the right time. Mainly because there's a plot hole that I did at the end of Season 6 where Lieutenant Ross is introduced as the new lieutenant of the Landslide Police Department, making it seem like the Danny Luna story took place after the Nathan Ragazzi story, which I didn't want. But I do have a couple ideas on how to fix it. Plus, mixing those two main characters together was something that I wasn't sure how well was going to work, especially because I voiced both of them. It was interesting to see this scene with new dolls for Nathan, Levi, and Alexander compared to the original claymation dolls, and doing the clothing from actual fabric instead of just clay. Overall, when I finished shooting this scene, I felt a sense of peace and accomplishment, knowing I waited so many years to make this scene a reality after being on paper and in my head for so long. The cylinder trap was actually my newest trap idea when I started writing Season 7. I came up with the first concept on April 2nd, 2019. This first draft included a plastic surgeon performing illegal surgeries and causing infections that led to the death of his patients. Little by little, I started changing the details of the trap and mostly the story, and it ended up being the Luke Malik story on August 10th of that same year. The main focus of the set is the pool, so I wanted to make sure that I did it right. I wasn't sure if I wanted it to be round or squared, so I started looking around for something that I could use for it and found this rectangle storage container which seemed to be the perfect fit. I wanted to shoot this trap from both sides, so I actually cut an opening on the back wall so I can pull it out at my convenience, but I ended up not using it and only shot the trap from the front. And like a few angles from the side, but it was mainly from the front. For the base, I measured the height of the pool and cut several strips of cardboard which I rolled into a tube and glued them all around the bottom of the floor, which actually made it easier for me to shoot since the entire set was lifted about 6 inches. I thought about doing this for the rest of the sets later, but this is the only one I ended up doing it for. In my vision, this trap looked kinda greenish yellow, so I made sure to combine those colors around the set. I started making the bigger parts of the room first, like the vent pipes, the railing for the pool, the 2 big doors, which reminded me a lot about the Chambers of Death from Season 6. So I painted them the same color as the chambers, I guess to have a little tribute to that trap in this scene. After that, I started cutting many black strings to use for the cables for the power boxes around the room. I wanted to show some hints as to where this trap takes place. Obviously now we know it's a power plant, so I added many electrical clues like cables, machines, the vent pipes, and the pool in the center. The trap is actually quite simple, so I didn't have to change much from the original draft, but I love how it ended up. The cylinder is a cardboard tube which I filled with stones to add weight to it. Then on the ends, I glued these aluminum things that I have no idea what they're for, but I found them in the building the company I work for bought, and I saved them to use for my videos. And here they are. The bomb on the cylinder is just a cork with a little wire around it and a small piece of the plastic part of a utility knife. Then at the end, I added the little hoop to hook the chain to. Even though it's a cylinder, I still had some trouble making it roll properly. I think the main problem was the pipes being wood, so it kept coming off the rails sometimes. Here I'm paying tribute to the classic spiral used in all the Saw films. I was very happy to see this was the perfect opportunity to use it to show Luke where the cylinder needs to land in order to pass. Another part that didn't work too well was the pulling of the cylinder, because I thought it was going to roll, but it actually just ended up being dragged. So it was really annoying, and I had some difficulties shooting this sequence. I fixed it by doing close-ups and putting the hooked part of the chain facing Luke. Then when pulling it, it did roll for almost a full turn, and then it was just dragging. So I had to do this method a few times as I kept moving closer to the top, and it ended up looking quite nice, I think. There was a plan to have the pool as part of the trap, or at least have Luke somehow have to jump into it to save himself from an explosion or something, but I decided to just keep it simple. One fun fact, the blade I used to cut his legs is the one used for the blood pool public trap in Season 6. Thank you all for watching the second part of the behind the scenes for Season 7. Please let me know what your favorite part from this episode was, and I'll see you again in the third one where we'll get to see how the compressing hexagon was made. Until next time.